Okay, and then another way that we mix shots is by taking a blank plate or a back plate of footage that is actually moving, meaning the camera is not stationed on a tripod, it's actually moving around. And a lot of videos require this sort of dynamic movement from the camera to really sell the effect and help move the story And so when we do this, we're going to shoot a back plate with the camera where the camera's moving, and then we want to make sure that when the camera's moving, we have tracking markers wherever it is that we're going to add in our animation. And so we want these tracking markers to be contrasting. We want them to be as flat as possible because we are tracking using a planar surface tracker, Mocha, which is the easiest way to do this. And we want to make sure that we're keeping the same focal length and the same distance as the back plate. And so when we shoot this back plate, we're going to shoot it so that we know where the camera is and we know the height that it's at, so that we can later then shoot the back plate, so that we can later then shoot the plate of Ted and have it match in perspective. So for this shot that we had of Ted sitting here, we definitely wanted there to be a moving camera because we wanted to first show everyone having a good time and then move into Ted as he's by himself. And so what we do here is we shot this chair here with a couple of tracking markers, and I'm going to bring this into a new composition. So we have the shot here, and then I'm going to go animation, track in Mocha. Hit OK. We can go ahead and skip to the last part here. We want to find the most visible frame, meaning there's as little amount of motion blur as possible and that it's closest to our final setup. And so here it looks good. I'm going to click on this and just draw a line over the part of the frame that looks like a planar surface. We've got a nice pattern there, and now I can track this forward, and then here we can track backwards. Now I'm going to export this tracking data. There's a couple of ways we can do it. We could just copy this information here to a null object like we've done in the past. I'm going to show you a different way. This time what I'm going to do is go to a frame that looks the most stable, and here this frame looks fairly stable. It's at frame 150, and I need to remember that frame so that I can later line it up. But I'm going to select this right here, and then I'm going to click here on push surfaces to the corner of the image. And that's been done now. I can copy this to clipboard, and then I can move back here into After Effects, and I have this shot here. I'm going to grab this plate of Ted. We had previously made adjustments to this, but for now I'm going to just freeze this frame. I'm just going to do a freeze frame here so that we can have an idea of what this might look like. Just give it a nice rough mask. So we have that mask made there, and now I'm going to align it with the background. If I wanted to get a really accurate estimate of how well it's lining up, what I would do is actually turn off the mask, and then I would change this mode to difference mode so that I could see the difference between the foreground and the background. And then I would take my hit Y and move it to a point that I will be able to compare with. So I'm going to move it right here, and now I can move this around. I want to move the table to a place where it lines up. Right around there looks pretty good. Then I can hit W and I can rotate this to line it up as well. Right around there looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's close. Now I can put this back on normal mode and then add this back in, and I can even add some feathering just like that. Maybe expand it out a little bit. Now what I actually should have done beforehand is line it up at frame 150. So I'm going to hit command here and then go to frame 150, and then it's pretty close, fairly similar, but I'm just going to move them a little bit to the side here so that we can see the shadow on the bottom here matches up. So that looks good there. Lined up at frame 150, hit Command Shift Z, move all attributes into new composition, and now I go to the first frame here and hit Command V. I'm going to paste in the tracking data, and now we can see that here at this first frame, he lines up. So here's the original plate, and we can see that he was tracked in there nicely. And when we pasted that tracking data in, we were able to have him stick to the back chair and have it look as though we actually shot it with a moving camera and that he was stationed on that chair.